The Rusty Anchor was the kind of roadside bar where the air always smelled of stale beer, cigarette smoke, and regret. Neon signs buzzed faintly over scarred wooden tables, and the jukebox played old rock songs that no one really listened to anymore. It was a Friday night in late autumn, the kind where the wind howled outside and drove people indoors seeking warmth, or trouble. Sarah had worked there for 2 years, ever since leaving the service. She was 28, with short-cropped dark hair, quiet green eyes, and a way of moving that made her seem smaller than she was. She wore loose jeans and a plain white button-up shirt, always buttoned to the top, sleeves rolled down even in the stuffy heat. No one asked why. She poured drinks, cleared tables, and smiled just enough to earn decent tips without inviting conversation. Most regulars liked her for that silence. She didn't pry into their stories, and they returned the favor. But that night, a pack of bikers rolled in on thunderous Harleys, parking in a row that blocked half the lot. There were 6 of them, leather vests patched with skulls and flames, chains dangling from belts, boots heavy on the floorboards. They claimed the biggest booth, ordering rounds of whiskey and beer, voices booming over the music. The leader was a big man called Jax, tall, broad-shouldered, with a shaved head and arms covered in faded tattoos from wrist to neck. He had a reputation in these parts for starting fights and finishing them quicker. Sarah served them without complaint, weaving through the growing crowd with trays balanced expertly. At first, it was fine. They joked crudely, but she deflected with neutral nods. Jax watched her more than the others, his eyes lingering each time she leaned over to set down glasses. "Hey, sweetheart," he called after her 3rd trip. "What's a pretty thing like you doing in a dump like this? You should be out having fun." She gave a polite smile. "Just doing my job, sir." That seemed to amuse him. He laughed, deep and rough, slapping the table. His buddies joined in. As the night wore on and the whiskey flowed, the teasing turned sharper. Jack started commenting on her figure, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. When she brought another round, he grabbed her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm. "Come on, loosen up. Sit with us a minute." Sarah pulled free gently but firmly. "Can't. Got orders to fill." His smile faded a notch. "You think you're too good for us?" The bar quieted a little, people sensed the shift. She met his eyes steadily. "No, sir. Just working." That composure irritated him more than defiance would have. He released her wrist, but his gaze followed her back to the bar. The harassment escalated slowly. He'd call her over for nothing, make lewd remarks, try to rattle her. Sarah kept her cool, born from years in hotter fires than this. But Jax's pride was pricked. In a place like the Rusty Anchor, weakness was blood in the water. Finally, after she refused his offer to show her a real night, one too many times, he stood up abruptly, chair scraping loud. The room tensed. He blocked her path as she carried empty glasses. "You got a problem with me, girl?" His voice carried. She stopped, balanced the tray. "No problem. Excuse me." Frustrated by her unflinching calm, Jax's face darkened. In a sudden move, fueled by alcohol and ego, he reached out and grabbed the front of her shirt, yanking hard. Buttons popped, fabric tore down the middle with a sharp rip that cut through the noise like a knife. Gasps erupted. A few men half rose from their seats, but no one intervened yet. Laughter bubbled from Jax's crew, expecting her to crumble, to cover up in shame. Sarah stood there, exposed bra and all, but she didn't flinch or cry out. Instead, something unexpected met their eyes, and it stole the breath from the room. Across Sarah's chest, right over her heart, was a large, intricate tattoo, the eagle, globe, and anchor, the proud emblem of the United States Marine Corps. It wasn't some trendy design, the lines were bold, precise, faded just enough to show years of wear. Below it, in scripted letters, read, Semper Fi, surrounded by dates and names that looked like memorials. Flanking the tattoo were scars, puckered lines from shrapnel, a long surgical mark, stories etched in skin deeper than ink. The bar fell dead silent. Glasses paused mid-air. The jukebox hit the end of a song, and no one moved to cue another. Jax's hand froze on the torn fabric, his smirk vanishing as recognition hit. He'd served a stint himself years back, washed out early, but he knew that symbol. Knew what it meant. The laughter from his buddies died in their throats. One by one, they stared, faces shifting from amusement to unease, then respect, or shame. Jax released the shirt, stepping back as if burned. His massive frame seemed smaller suddenly. "Holy shit," he muttered, voice low. Sarah didn't cover herself immediately. She held his gaze, calm as ever, then slowly pulled the edges of her torn shirt together. No tears, no anger, just quiet steel. The bartender, an old vet himself, nodded slowly from behind the counter, eyes glistening. A couple of regulars, recognizing the emblem, removed their hats instinctively. Jax swallowed hard, the whiskey bravado evaporating. "Ma'am. I didn't know. I'm sorry." The words came out rough, genuine. His crew murmured agreements, looking anywhere but at her. Sarah finally spoke, voice steady. "It's fine. Happens." But it wasn't fine, and everyone knew it. She turned, walked to the back room to grab a spare shirt from her locker, head high. When she returned, the bikers had paid their tab, leaving a stack of bills that more than covered damages and a generous tip. Jax stood as she passed. "Respect, Marine. We didn't mean." He trailed off. She nodded once. "Appreciate it." Word spread fast that night. By closing, the story had circled the bar multiple times, growing in reverence. No one harassed her again, not that night, not ever after. Jax and his crew became unlikely regulars, always polite, always tipping big. They even fixed the bar's busted neon sign one weekend, no charge. Sarah never talked much about her past, 2 tours in Afghanistan, lost friends, the reason she came home quiet and alone. The tattoo was her private memorial, hidden for a reason. But that rip changed things. People saw her differently now, not just the waitress, but a warrior who'd faced hell and come back standing. Years later, when the rusty anchor finally shuttered, old patrons still told the tale. How one arrogant biker thought he could break a woman, only to uncover unbreakable strength. It reminded them all that heroes don't always wear uniforms, or announce themselves. Sometimes they just pour your beer, carry invisible burdens, and wait for the world to catch up. Sarah moved on eventually, to a quieter life. But in that town, her legend lingered, a reminder that true courage isn't loud or violent. It's the kind that endures in silence until forced into the light. And when it shines, it freezes even the toughest crowds.